The wind whispered through the trees as I stood before the looming school building, bathed in the silvery glow of the moonlight. It was a dare, a foolish dare born from the restless curiosity that often plagues teenagers. The challenge had been thrown down during lunchtime chatter, a sinister grin accompanying the words, "Ever wondered what the school is like at night?" My heart raced as I fumbled with the heavy metal gate, its rusty hinges groaning in protest. The moon hung low in the sky, casting long, eerie shadows that seemed to dance to their own haunting rhythm. The air was thick with anticipation, and a sense of foreboding settled over me like a suffocating shroud. I stepped onto the school grounds, my footsteps echoing through the empty courtyard. The darkness seemed to swallow me whole, each step carrying me deeper into the abyss. A gust of wind whispered secrets in my ear, and I shivered despite myself. But I was committed now, driven by a reckless determination to prove my mettle. As I approached the main entrance, a chill crawled up my spine. The heavy wooden doors creaked open with a ghostly moan, as if reluctant to grant me entry. I stepped over the threshold and a shiver racked my body. The hallway stretched out before me, a corridor of dimly lit lockers and shadowy alcoves. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting an otherworldly glow that made the air feel heavy and thick. My footsteps echoed through the deserted hallways, each sound magnified in the silence. The walls seemed to close in on me, the portraits of stern-looking principals and cheerful students now twisted into grotesque caricatures by the low light. I tried to shake off the unease that clung to me, reminding myself that it was all in my head. But rationality was a fragile shield against the encroaching darkness. My goal was the principal's office, a place rumored to hold the most chilling secrets of all. The journey felt like an eternity, each step fraught with apprehension. The hallway seemed to stretch and contort, the passage becoming an endless maze designed to ensnare me. The laughter of my friends from earlier in the day echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of the dare that had led me here. Finally, I reached the door to the principal's office. It loomed before me like a portal to another realm, the air around it crackling with electric energy. With a trembling hand, I pushed the door open, revealing a scene that froze the blood in my veins. The office was bathed in an eerie blue light, emanating from an antique lamp that sat on the desk. The walls were lined with dusty books and strange artifacts, each one radiating a sense of malevolence. But what drew my attention was the portrait that hung above the desk. A portrait of the principal, his eyes devoid of life, staring into the void with a sinister grin etched on his face. A shiver ran down my spine as I stepped further into the office, drawn inexplicably to the portrait. The air seemed to thicken, and I struggled to catch my breath. Whispers filled the room, unintelligible voices that seemed to come from all directions. I reached out to touch the portrait, my fingers grazing the cold, unfeeling canvas. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing the lamp and plunging me into darkness. Panic seized me, and I fumbled for my phone, desperate to cast some light into the abyss. The feeble glow of the phone's screen illuminated the room, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. A voice whispered my name, a spectral whisper that seemed to come from the very walls themselves. I spun around, my heart pounding in my chest, but there was no one there. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread settled over me like a suffocating fog. I stumbled back towards the door, my footsteps echoing through the darkness. The whispers grew louder, their words incomprehensible, yet filled with a malevolent intent. I felt as though unseen eyes were watching me, their gaze piercing through the shadows. Just as I reached the door, a cold hand gripped my shoulder, sending a shock of terror coursing through my veins. I turned, my scream dying in my throat as I came face to face with the principal from the portrait. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his grin widened into a grotesque parody of a smile. "You should not have come here," he hissed, his voice a chilling whisper that seemed to echo from the depths of the abyss. I tried to break free from his grip, but his hold was like iron, unyielding and relentless. The walls seemed to close in around me, the whispers growing louder and more insistent. The principal's grip tightened, and I could feel his icy fingers digging into my flesh. Darkness swirled around me, and the room seemed to twist and contort, a nightmarish carnival of horrors. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. I stumbled out of the principal's office, gasping for breath as if I had surfaced from the depths of a dark and treacherous sea. The hallway was once again bathed in the dim, flickering light, the shadows retreating as if in defeat. I fled the school, my heart still pounding in my chest. The wind howled through the trees, carrying with it a haunting laughter that seemed to follow me as I ran. I didn't stop until I was far from the school, the moonlight casting long shadows that danced in the distance. As I looked back at the school, a shiver ran down my spine. The building stood silent and foreboding, a sentinel of the darkness that had enveloped me. The dare had been answered, but at a price I could never have imagined. And so, I walked away from the school at night, my steps heavy with the weight of the horrors I had witnessed. The echoes of that night would forever haunt my dreams, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface of the ordinary world.